My motivation primarily was to create and bring awareness to an area where there's orthopedic, spine specialists, and additional doctors providing applications to the athletic community at large, and having them become more aware of what the trials and tribulations are associated with former professional athletes as well as professional athletes that are now playing the game. The expertise that a lot of them seek away from the game in terms of second opinions on medical treatment and on medical applications to continue playing the sport that they love and admire. And for guys that are leaving the game, how do I deal with certain situations or injuries that I achieved while I was playing a sport, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, or professional hockey. I think for the most part, there are a lot of spine and orthopedic specialists out there that are familiar with professional athletes and professional athletics. However, there are an abundance of them that aren't. And for those that aren't and don't know that the 80% capacity that don't receive the medical treatment post-career and how it affects them, that's my motivation. I think it's a combination of both spine and joint aesthetics, whether it be small and large. I think that the body mass index situation is, as it pertains to former NFL players, you have running backs that play the game at 205 to 225 pounds. Then when they retire, they balloon up to 300 and 325 pounds. You know, that creates joint disorder. That you also have athletes that have been on steroids, whether they've mastered steroids during their career or whatever. The muscle growth was extremely enormous when they played. Now they no longer have the steroid, or they no longer use the steroid. Now the body is dwindled down, but yet the stress was already caused because the muscle that was on the joint or attached to the joint grew so large and so massive that it was supporting that for 10 to 12 to 5 to 7 years, and now it's no longer that. It doesn't matter. And I've seen several players that have had to have hip replacements, knee replacements, shoulder replacements. Some guys have had to have the full cage put in their back. They couldn't have the minimum invasive process done to them. Then I've seen guys that were 300 pounds that have gained 100 pounds, they got up to 400 pounds. They become diabetics. They become hypertension candidates. They're walking with canes. I've seen guys with concussions, neck injuries, severe neck injuries. Guys have had to have cervical plates put in their neck as a result of getting head trauma in the NFL. Some guys that deal with concussions and Alzheimer's and dementia. And, we know dementia sometimes can cause you to think that you're more hurt and more injured than you really are, and when you aren't. And yet it plays a mind game on guys, and guys tend to want to do, crazy things like go for second opinions often. They end up in Jim Andrews' office, or they end up in, some other big physical, some other big, spine specialist or some big orthopedic guy somewhere around the country that can help them or help them cure the cancer that's going on in their brain that, they're injured or whatever. So, it's a combination of things, I think. But body mass index, BMI, is a big growing concern amongst NFL brass, just as well as the head trauma and things associated with head trauma. The Game Plan Foundation was founded as a nonprofit to help guys in the three major areas of concern: mental, financial, and psychological assistance. The mental piece is, how do I cope with the fact that now I no longer play for this $7 to $12 billion a year corporation that can provide me with the best health insurance, the best benefits associated with health insurance, the best means to take care of my family, a tremendous amount of support off the field, and now I don't have that support, and I don't have that emotional crutch, and I don't have that psychological dependence that I used to have, or I can't depend on them psychologically the way I used to when I played the game. Guys pre-1998 didn't receive 3 years to 5 years of medical insurance when they left the game. They didn't have 5 different streams of income when they left the game. They pretty much had to fend for themselves. They either had to go out and start a business, become unionized in some capacity in terms of employment, or go to work for a major corporation that could offer them benefits so they can take care of their families. Some of these guys left with needing knee replacements, needing hip replacements, needing shoulder replacements. They've had degenerative joint failure in certain other areas. Some guys have had concussions. Some guys have developed dementia. There's a growing number of players out there that I think if you were to do a poll, like they're doing right now at the University of Michigan, they would tell you that their biggest concern away from pro football is, how am I going to take care of myself when I get out? And what is the cost going to be to do that? And for a lot of guys, if you have that one big injury, that one big situation, and you don't have health insurance, you're in trouble, big trouble.